yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah, man.
I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Yes, plenty to shake your cans with and make all the noise if you are from the Daytona area. That's Daytona Beach to be exact, for the Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats, as they've shut down the academic regular year other than those that are in NCAA regionals, and if they can get to NCAA nationals for track and field. But in terms of the team sports, if you would, it's a wrap in terms of the HBCU season, particularly the SWAC, as the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, as I said, are crowned the SWAC 2025 baseball tournament champions. They've done it in the regular season, so they get the double dip as they do it in the tournament. And you talking about doing it in fine fashion. A walk-off, 3 RBI, home run to the deepest part of the park, 400 plus feet, to win it in the bottom of the ninth after trailing 9-8. They win it 11-9. And if it wasn't for one of my favorite guys being his team, FAMU, as you see back there, the Rattlers, I would be even more excited. But that's the only thing that gives me pause. But we do have Charles on here who certainly is excited about what's going on, or would love to give some of his framework. So we'll bring him on, Charles, so he can do his fulfillment of O&G strike zone from a Jackson State perspective. Then we have in good spirits in some manner, I guess I will say, with A.D. Drew, that always finds a way to bring it home to support in the way it is. With that being said, Charles, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Dr. Bill. Doing well. Coming off of a tremendous SWAC tournament, SWAC baseball tournament. Was proud to be part of the coverage of the SWAC tournament all throughout the week last week with SWAC Digital, with Santoria Black and Brett Oates. But it was a great time. And I do have to say this, the only pause to that great week last week was finding out about the death of SWAC official Eddie Kelly, the director of football officiating in the SWAC. Really good dude. He will be really, really missed.
Yeah, from those in the Houston area and really those across HBCU sports, particularly SWAC country, many of people have come to know him, be friends with him. Some admire him for the work, but those around this area, from the high school level, even youth level, whether it's fraternity, whether it's just men of the SWAC, Texas Southern University Lions, they took that really hard. I got a chance to meet him through you, and we had a chance to interview him, bring him on and talk about it. And he's educated us, like he's educated many, prepared. There's folks that are working in the NFL because he gave them the opportunity, literally.
Precisely.
And they took it and ran with it. But whether that high school level, SWAC, HBCU sports, collegiate level outside of that, literally at the highest level in NFL, obviously the other professional levels as well. His footprints are squarely on that. So we do want to acknowledge him and give him prayers. We will take a moment of silence, but unfortunately, we have a bit of other sad news to report from HBCU in terms of Stillman College. 2 former Stillman College baseball players and a former Miss Stillman die in Atlanta car crash that's coming out of HBCU. Game day, tragic news. Stillman College and the HBCU community is mourning the loss of 3 members of its community following a fatal automobile accident in Atlanta metro area on the evening of May 23rd, 2025. The accident claimed the lives of C.S. Elliott, a current student, and alumni Destiny Gardner and Varick Lawrence. All 3 were beloved members of the Stillman family, known for their vibrant personalities, commitment to service, academic and athletic achievement. Remembering C.S. Elliott, a native of Stockton, Georgia, had recently completed his baseball career at Stillman College, was planning to return for the 2025-26 academic year to finish his degree and serve as a student assistant baseball coach. He's also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Elliott was known on and off the field for leadership and infectious positivity, earning the admiration, of teammates and faculty alike. Destiny Gardner, 2022 criminal justice graduate from Montgomery, Alabama, served as the 74th Miss Stillman during the 2021-2022 academic year. Dedicated member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, she has served as a regional representative for the UNCF National Pre-Alumni Council. At the time of her passing, Gardner worked as a juvenile officer at the DeKalb Regional Youth Detention Center in Georgia. She was deeply engaged in her community and was a passionate advocate for youth. Gardner and Lawrence share a young son together. Celebrating the life of Varick Lawrence. Varick Lawrence, originally from Lithonia, Georgia, played baseball at HBCU from 2021 to 2023. And a graduate in 2023, he was active in youth development, a baseball coach in the Atlanta area, and was also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Lawrence's commitment to mentorship and sportsmanship made a lasting impact on the Stillman athletic community. So sad news on many different levels. Obviously, as we cheer and have fun in sports, particularly the community of HBCUs and really beyond that in terms of diaspora. But with that being said, we do like to pay homage and take time. So we'll have a moment of silence for all 4 individuals and their loved ones. With that being said, we'll get back to what we do best, which is getting ready to do it. Summer school is in session. That is correct. It started today at Texas Southern University after Memorial Day. But guess what? We had to put everything online as we had power shortages. And I found out we're not only campus doing that. So we're going to have to talk to see if some of the people out there are pulling the wrong strings in terms of making this stuff happen. But in all seriousness, we're excited about taking this next chapter as we clump one chapter as we get into the third one to get prepared. As people get a little bit of break, I'm going to send these guys off to make sure that they get some vacation. We'll find to mix it around, still give you some content, but we're going to have some folks that we're going to send off to the summer as Mike has already started his vacation. But
when did he get off?
you tell me. I'm trying to figure it out. That's why I missed it. But, hey, it is what it is. With that being said, let me get to you all fine gentlemen as we talk about it. This is, let me give a proper introduction as we broke down that news. Welcome to episode 664 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Radio and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, I should say all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. Quite simply, we call it the HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host. Today is none other than Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Let me give a little moment of privilege before we take our first break. We'll come back and get into some more news to see what these guys want to share with you. But I want to shout out to these two gentlemen. Extremely hard. Obviously, started off in a lot of ways to bring you content from the show. But they're connected in terms of HBCUs. And now they're getting a chance to show the world involvement with HBCU sports. You've heard Charles do different calls, AD Drew doing different calls, a part of the BCSN network. Now they're getting a chance to do it for the conference affiliation. Charles this week at SWAC baseball tournament, doing sideline, doing a lot of work, giving you extra insight to make sure that you knew where every pitch was coming from, every hit, statics, also data analytics, statisticians, stats from every angle that you could believe of. He brought it to you in many different ways. So I want to give him a shout out there. Also, AD Drew. Obviously, we know now what he's doing in Morehouse, but it moves beyond that. He was at the baseball tournament. He came there the first day to give you that interaction, had to leave to take care of some family. We told condolences to him, but it was important for him in terms of the priority. When he got back on Sunday, he went straight back to work. We were able to give you an episode before the game. Charles had to get out there that morning, but he's watching, do his thing. But during the week, he was there giving you that update. And then AD Drew comes back and follows up, getting over 600 pitches that we'll find a way to give you distribute. We'll do some of them here to give you some highlights, including what will be a lasting memory for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats in terms of every swing of that lasted back from the front to the very end to the 400 feet. He was there. These are some pictures of showing you some insights in terms of the historic Rickwood Ball Park there. So wanted to make sure we gave some love. So I wanted to point out these gentlemen in terms of what they have done over this week. And I'm so excited to call them friends in terms of what they get done. So just wanted to give a little moment of privilege and share that with you. With that being said, if you allow me, let's take this first break. We'll come back on the other side in terms of giving you some more updates. We'll get a little bit more in the tournament. We'll do that a little later in the show. We'll even get into some business news. But with you said there, we'll do this historic work. Look at those great pictures to give you some extreme history of what's taking place there. With that, again, let's take our first break, come back on the other side, and get into some news that these gentlemen won't share with you on the other side. We'll be right back after this first break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Human Voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter. Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Yeah, Wildcats. I said it. Now I'm done with it. No, seriously, Coach Hernandez. Great game. You gave. I was joking with you before, but you knew I was serious. I wanted to see a good ball game, and that is what we have. And every kid who has grown up playing baseball always had that dream in the backyard of hitting a walk-off in the bottom of the ninth inning. So I got to ask you, from a coach's perspective, because nobody ever dreams about coaching when they playing ball. Just talk about the emotion in that ninth inning, the ups and downs, the failed bunt attempt, and then you get another opportunity via the air, and then of course the walk-offs.
There's never been a panic with our guys. I think our new nickname, from our fans is the Cardiac Cats, So we've been in this position before the entire year. I think that the body of work throughout the entire regular season and the schedule that we come up for our team led us to this one moment. And like you said, right, nobody dreams of as a coach, right? Like, what are your emotions going to be? And I can remember just when he hit the ball and I was like, go ball, go ball. And then once it hit out, man, I was jumping up for joy because of everything that our program has gone through in the last couple of years. To be able to shed a positive light to our university means so much. And I'm just so happy for all of our student athletes. I'm happy for our assistant coaches, and I'm happy for our administration and our university.
Yeah, speaking of Cardiac Cats, you guys came from behind in all 4 of your victories here in Birmingham. So, what is it that gives them the confidence to be able to come back like that? No matter down 1 run, down 5 runs, it doesn't matter. You guys play with a level of confidence that I haven't seen on the diamond in a while.
I think it starts from day one in the fall, man, and just kind of building our culture and what we want our guys to do. And, they trust the process and they believe. It starts with belief at the end of the day. And we've been in this position before, right, where we've had to walk off, we've had to scratch and claw and chip away to be able to give us an opportunity to come out on top. So, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, man, our guys, they did what they needed to do, and they stayed true to who we were as a program. Tough, gritty, mentally tough dudes, and I'm so happy for them.
Okay, Coach, the first team championship for Bethune-Cookman since they joined the SWAC in 2021. What does that mean for you?
It means everything. I mean, that's something that I've been openly talking to our SIDs about, that I want to be the first, major championship in the SWAC. So, again, it's just all these guys, man. They've done everything, and I'm just at a loss of words because it's unreal and surreal, and just happy for them.
Got at least 1 more week of baseball, Coach. After the 24-hour rule is in effect, what do you do now to get ready for the regionals? So you don't know where you're going to be at until later on this evening. So what do you do to get ready?
We just keep doing what we're doing, and I got a high school graduation for my daughter on Thursday, so I'm going to be deprived of sleep. Hopefully the Cardiac Cats don't give me a headache, but we'll be all right.
All right. And, Coach, I just got to say this, and I captured the moment. The moment of the tournament for me is when you and your son came out there and accepted that trophy. As a dad, the fact that your son was able to partake in it, he's old enough to understand it, but he's still young enough. You understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, and I went through a flurry of emotions, man, because as a sport coach, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, I mean, we put a lot of our attention and time to our athletic programs
and to other people's kids.
And I've missed a lot of stuff, man, throughout the years. But that's where the emotion came, where I broke down crying, because he was able to experience and see why we work so hard as coaches, man. And again, just blessed that I was able to experience this with Jake. And I mean, shoot, that was a proud dad moment, right? Hopefully it's a proud son moment where he can say his father, has led a program to a conference tournament championship.
Trust me, he'll remember it when he gets our age. Coach.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it, man. Yep, they're Wildcats.
Hey, well, you don't say no more. Right. No, oh, my God.
That's it.
That is a great interview post-game on many different levels, and I'm glad you got that in with his son, particularly coming up on Father's Day.
Get the ground screw guy out the shot.
What'd you say?
I say, get the grass crew guy out the shot.
I thought about
trying to get up
I
out of there, Charles. You
I
know
was
how
like,
they was
yeah. That's like he just had to. He thought he was doing something by turning the motor down low.
Yeah, man, talk. I said it twice.
Oh, that was a good one. That's a good one. We'll have a little more interviews throughout the show to give you that. Also want to give you heads up on our Wednesday edition. I will join. It looks like Charles will be able to join, but we will have Coach Hernandez tomorrow to give us a little more update on his thoughts. So we'll get the Indy crew to join us to help us do that interview. And so wanted to give that. With that being said, let me go back to you, Charles, on some news in our
Wildcats, man, talk. Hell, Wildcats. I said it. I'm done with it now. I'm sorry.
They're gonna make sure you get that out there. That's fine. Go ahead, Charles. I was trying to save you.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Lincoln University, Missouri, they claimed gold on the final day of the NCAA Division II Outdoor Track and Field Championship. The NCAA Division II Outdoor Track and Field Championship has included and one HBCU squad took first place. Lincoln, Missouri was the day's biggest winner, closing out the day with a pair of top finishes in their respective 4x400 relays. After posting the fastest time in the preliminary round, Lincoln's women 4x400 relay team took home the gold in the finals after posting a personal best, Dr. Cavil, time of 3:32:62. Handing off the baton to the third leg with the team in fourth place. Shivani Thomas put the team in front of the pack with a 52.42 split, while Shantae George anchored the team to victory with a 52.17 split. Lincoln's women's 4x400 relay team sweeps the national championships for the 2025 season, having snagged the gold in the indoor season. Meanwhile, Lincoln men's 4x400 relay team posted a personal best time of 3:05:23, but fell short of claiming the national title, finishing second behind Pittsburgh State. But kudos to Lincoln, Missouri for what they've got accomplished in the NCAA Division II Outdoor Track and Field Championship.
AD Drew, that's your old stomping ground. I know we like to brag in terms of some speed in Texas. Obviously, you went to FAMU, so you've heard about all the speed up there in Florida. Jackson State also likes to think they have a little speed in Mississippi with all the per capita, like they always like to remind you. But we'll leave that right there. But with that being said, Lincoln, Missouri has a lot of history in terms of what they've done at the Division II level in track and field championships. So just wanted to make sure we made that connection for you. With that being said, you can comment on that, but also get into some news of the day that you wanted to share as well.
When Lincoln was recruiting me out of high school, they weren't quite at that level, you know.
Wow, okay.
So
you know that little bit of history. You see that, Charles? They kind of dropped that in there. All right.
I know, right?
They was on my list, but it wasn't at the top of the list. So
I get it. You know, you from there. A lot of times you want to go away. So
I want to go.
It's not necessarily Lincoln, Missouri. It's more the fact that you want to see other parts of the U.S., the world.
And fam, you showed me the money. But anyway,
even a bigger reason.
We cannot get a show out, Dr. Cavil, without talking football. So let's go to the BAC and let's go to Baltimore. There's a theme with this Baltimore, but I'm not going into the other half of the theme right now.
Baltimore is winning. I'll say that. State of Maryland is winning.
State of Maryland is winning.
That should come down HBCUs.
Yep, and the Black diaspora as well. Yes, sir.
Yeah. But the MEAC announced its 2025 Media Day will be held Tuesday, July 22nd. Go ahead and book your plane tickets now at M&T Bank Stadium, home of the NFL's Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, Maryland. Side note, I have been to that particular stadium before.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a historic milestone for the MEAC, said MEAC Commissioner Sonia Steels. Hosting our Media Day at an NFL venue reflects the growing visibility, strength, and momentum of our conference. We are thrilled to showcase our member institutions in such a dynamic and high profile environment. So, and they went on ahead. Baltimore made a couple of comments with it, but yeah, the MEAC football season will officially kick off on August 23rd with the annual MEAC SWAC Challenge at Center Park Stadium here in Atlanta, Georgia, featuring North Carolina Central versus Southern. Go get your tickets now for that one, for the 20th anniversary of the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge. Got to make sure you get all of that in there. The 20th anniversary of the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge. So, but
make
shout
sure
out to
you tell Mr. John Grant that I want my 20th anniversary shirt. I know you're doing some work there. It's business for your side, but lean on him. I'll make my own ass, but make sure you lean on him. Say, hey, your buddy out there says he wants official.
I'm
merch.
pretty sure he's watching. If he's not watching, he's always goes back and watch the replay. So
there you go, for sure.
So
good information. Great update, man. I'll be doing some business and a lot of travel. I plan to get up to the SWAC, obviously in Birmingham, then over to Atlanta because they do their media press for MEAC SWAC Challenge the next day. Then I'm gonna get up to Philadelphia for the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Inc. convention, and then it's a day, so I don't even know if I'm gonna come home. I might just ride the train over to Baltimore. I know I'm scheduled to come back. I've already booked that to come back that night to Houston. So, Charles, I might lean on you for that show on Tuesday because I'll probably be just out of energy. Maybe I'll give you 15 minutes from the airport because I plan to get back. So, be ready. I'm just calling you early. I'm calling that one in early.
Let me make sure I look at my calendar and make sure I'm clean that day. I'm traveling somewhere.
No, you're coming back for a family reunion, but
yeah,
I think you'll be back just a little bit earlier than I am. So maybe we can give you a day off, let you come in ready to go. With that being said, let's take let me give you this one day because you kind of teased this out too perfectly. So I don't want to ruin that. Staying in Baltimore, as you said. Future CIAA basketball tournament has been decided. It was down to Baltimore and Charlotte. Charlotte could not come quite as strong. I'll just say it like that as Baltimore did. There were a couple of things that Charlotte left on the table, directly their fault or not. But ultimately, Baltimore, the winners go the spoils. The Papa CIAA basketball tournament will remain in Baltimore despite a bid from Charlotte, according to the reports from Charlotte Business Journal. Charlotte and Baltimore were the only cities to submit bids for the coveted tournament. CBJ reported the CIAA would now stay in Baltimore through 2029. Charlotte hosted the CIAA, as you probably know, from 2006 to 2020 and generated $650 million in economic spending when Baltimore Mariners swooped in with a bid that won the conference over. CIAA contract with Baltimore ran through 2026 tournament. The conference's requirements for a competitive bid included a minimum of 7,500 seat venue, a ban of ticket sales, resales, I should say, meaning you can't do ticket sale resales, and the CIAA controlling all sales and revenue from this championship game. Charlotte's key concern in the pricing of hotels, which allegedly drove the CIAA away from Queen City following the 2020 tournament. Host cities are required to have a hotel headquarters that accommodates 500 rooms for conference staff, sponsors, game officials, media, and guests at a maximum of $200 per night. Cities should also work with the conference to secure blocks of hotel room for fans and tournament attendees at a maximum price of $225 per night. I really like that because that means you're really working for your fans and they are rewarding the CIAA as they come in droves to the tournament. So to understand that bidding rate and understanding your value, some of us may see it, some of us may not be there to understand it. I think John Grant does a really good job of that. And so knowing that and knowing how to get it done and making sure you put it in the bid process is important. Last thing I'll put here, according to two sources with knowledge of the bid, Charlotte's proposal covering 2028 through 2030 because of a conflict in 2027 offered use of the Spectrum Center uptown for 2 of the 3 bid years, but would have moved the CIAA to Bojangles Coliseum for the middle year. Conference executives previously made clear to Charlotte tourism and political leaders throughout the lead up to bid proposed that CIAA did not want to play outside of uptown. The reluctance stemmed from split venue tournaments in Charlotte from 2017 to 2020 and how that affected them. I'll add that when concerns over smaller midweek crowds for CIAA games prompted the NBA Charlotte Hornets to push for limited use of the Spectrum Center. With that being said, last statement you want to make there, Charles?
Well, my quick question is, how much does this Baltimore deal sort of become a template for big name events in terms of you seeing some of the verbiage that Baltimore put in to create sort of an inducement to come to Baltimore? But can we see this not just within basketball, but across other platforms, whether you're talking about football championships or whatever the case might be?
Oh, I certainly think it's a platform, but I don't want us to get lost in terms of what CIAA did. I think the one thing that we must understand that CIAA is unique with its basketball tournament. Obviously, some of the football games in the SWAC, even the MEAC and classics per se may have that, but the historic they have on it. And then you also have to have a bidding component. You know, you have to be willing to move. Some of our locations in terms of classics are kind of bound by what people perceive as the place to be. So it makes it harder to put that out there when you don't have the bidding war or the threat of maybe going somewhere else, i.e. New Orleans, Birmingham, right? Orlando, when you think about it. So the fact that they were able to put the bidding part out there did that. And then you also notice that, you know, some cities at some size, they have so much business, there's certain things that they may not be able to do. Baltimore saw the value. They are in a position in terms of the size of the city and events that they want, that they were like, we can do all that. Charlotte wasn't able to do that. So that's part of it too, is the fact that you also have to have cities that are willing to do it. And so that's part of it. So I think it's a template, but I wouldn't get so far as to say that this is the gold standard, because there's some unique things that made this work versus what you see some other places. But I think it goes a long way to say what a true city, county, even to some degree state partnership looks like. When everybody comes together and sees the value, it works. And that's why I like to give more kudos to Baltimore in terms of what they saw in the value. And they had a lot of folks that see what it means to their city, their state, in terms of getting in this business and answering the call, with everybody saying, yeah, we're in line with that. So let's take our next break, come back on the other side, and get into some more talk as we take that deeper dive in terms of what you see there. Some more pictures there. Obviously, that was the short stop. As you see, he had successful surgery the night, and the next day was able to get back to the ballpark. We had just went off our show with AD Drew when he walked on the field, and we wish we could have known, because we stayed on maybe 2 minutes, and you would have heard everybody, both Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, and other fans that were just watching, and how they stood up and gave him a great applause and recognized him for finding their way back out there. It was memorable, to say the least. With that being said, let's take our next break and come back on the other side and get back into it.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
Academically also. 3.5 GPA for this team is a phenomenal.
And he drew here with athletic director and head basketball.
I just want to make sure we get this in there right there.
Oh, they definitely got that in. Black College Sports Network, Coach Theus, man. Congratulations, my brother. Congratulations.
Yeah. Just a tremendous game.
Yes.
I mean, how better picture could it be? 9th inning walk-off home run. That was just a home run, but 400-yard for home run. It's a tremendous. And this team has been down the whole tournament in parts of the game, and they've always come back. So it was not shocking when they made their run.
I was talking to one of my colleagues, and I was like, Bethune-Cookman has come from behind in every game in this tournament and won it, and you did it again. And I don't know if you was a baseball player because you were so tall.
No, I pitched and played third base.
Okay.
Way before I picked up a basketball.
I got you. Baseball was my first love, too.
Okay.
And every kid dreamed about hitting that walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th inning, and you guys did it today.
When you think about this team, Coach Hernandez's team exemplifies what we teach and what we're trying to always do at Bethune-Cookman. That is build a championship culture. Not only are they great on the field, but they are great academically also. 3.5 GPA for this team is a phenomenal academic report. And the way they've done things, and this is a player-driven team, not a coach-driven. Coach does his job, but when you watch these guys and you're around them, you see the players are the ones that pull each other together. They're the ones that hold each other accountable, and that's how you win championships.
Speaking of championships, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first championship for Bethune-Cookman since coming over to the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
That is fact. Well, we won an event in track, so that is the first one we won in the SWAC. But in terms of getting a chance to go to the big dance, go to the playoffs of the NCAAs, this is a big win for us in one of our major sports.
Yeah. So what does this mean? What's the next step forward for Bethune-Cookman athletics with something like this on the resume now?
We're just showing people that, when I first got to Bethune-Cookman, our athletics was sort of down here. Bethune-Cookman has won before. Back in the MEAC days, they've been champions before. It's been a long time since we've got that back together. Now we've building this thing the right way. We've got the right coaches. We've got the right academic staffs. And this is where we're headed right now, is just more of the same. And that is building that championship culture.
And you got at least one more week to play baseball, Coach.
We got one more week, but you'll never know what happens.
At least one. I said at least one more week.
You never know what happens.
All right.
My
Congratulations.
pleasure. Thank you.
Good stuff. Well, a lot of good excitement over there at Daytona Beach. They were taking some punches early, a lot of ways, so it's good to see that they are able to have some fun. They deserve it, like we all like to have some championships. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles. What are some of your memories of the tournament?
I think we said it during the course of the broadcast. No lead was safe, and it played itself out, in the championship game. I marveled at the fact that teams could be up 7-1, and we all said, it's not over. Especially
14-7.
Yeah, especially when you're in the early third of the ball game, and there's still ball game to be played. We just kind of laugh this thing is still in the balance, if you will. And most times, you take a look at a 7-1 lead, 14-7, whatever the case might be, and a team still had an opportunity. But it's something that we've talked about all year, Dr. Cavil, in regards to, the hitting prowess in the conference and kind of the lack of pitching. If you can get to a team's bullpen, you had an opportunity to make some things happen, and we've seen it play out all through the course of the season.
Good stuff. Let me go to you, AD Drew. What were your memories of this tournament?
The decisions that coaches had to make, the chess matches as the coaches were going against each other, playing in that legendary venue. We mentioned it on our pregame show, Dr. Cavil, the difference in the atmosphere from Atlanta to Birmingham. Atlanta was a corporate atmosphere. Birmingham was more of a blue collar atmosphere. All the big wigs couldn't go hide up in the suites in Birmingham because there were no So everybody had to mingle with each other, and
Right.
and Doc, you asked about what memory is, Doc. Let me just go through it. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, these moments are priceless right here. The whole sequence from behind the plate. Mind you, I was there. I knew I was going to get something. I didn't know what I was going to get, but I knew I was going to get something, and I had the camera ready, Dr. Cavil.
I remember when you, right before we was leaving to make sure we caught our flight, remember you slowly went down there, and you're right. Oh, look at this. This is crazy. Is it going?
Now, these next couple ones, just look at the emotion and the contrast in the emotion. Up against the wall, like, I don't believe this. Jumping for joy. Look at the FAMU catcher.
Look at the catcher.
Yeah. As I say, you have to look at the difference of the emotions.
Yeah, you caught it all, too. Beautifully done. Yeah, he's on the field before he circles the base. Oh, wow. Yeah, well done. Great job capturing that. I'm glad we had a chance to
Brian, I'm a journalist.
Brian said turn in your rally card, Drew. Hey, man, I paid him for this, man. He's getting paid for this stuff. He's a true professional. We'll have him on the ONGs, and he can go through his other emotions then. It's different. It's a different show. Let us have our show, Brian. With that being said, I'm going to stick with you. Adrian, I want to ask you this, and I'm going to follow up with Charles and get your perspective. Cardell Thibodeau, in terms of player of the year, what he led the conference in terms of batting average. Juan Cruz from Alabama State, and Thibodeau, I want to make sure I get that up Southern. Obviously, Trey Rutledge was right up there, top 5. He didn't make the tournament, nor did Prairie View's Amar Donato. But Kelton Phillips, I should say. Home runs, Cardell Thibodeau. Andrew Martinez, I think that's enough said, dude. Jesus Venegas. Just want to know with some of these guys, Jordan McClatty, stolen bases, Bryce Hughes, Nick Luckett in terms of wins, Garrett Workman, Edwin Sanchez in terms of wins, ERA, Eric Elliott, Pine Bluffs, Kenny Fabian, Edwin Sanchez again in terms of ERA, in terms of the talent that was out there, strikeouts, Edric Gonzalez, Eric Elliott. Which are some of the players? I know we have the list in terms of all players, and we'll get that out there as well. But, Drew, which of the players came in with the names that we said to look out for? The Charles kind of led us off on the last show. You talked about it on the show that you guessed with. Who lived up to it in your mind? I guess probably obviously Andre Martinez, but besides him, anybody else kind of lived up to the expectation, not necessarily in terms of a championship, but getting their teams really close and at least representing and continue a high caliber play in the tournament?
You have to go with Thibodeau. He definitely carried Southern.
Yeah,
he did. He carried Southern through their run, and when you look at the two finalists, Florida A&M and Jay Campbell for FAMU, who was not on your list. We said it prior to the championship game. If FAMU wins, he's definitely the MVP. I mean, he was batting almost 700, had he was slugging over 800, if I remember correctly, going into that championship game. And the thing about it, Dr. Cavil, and I could list these names, but I'm not going for the sake of time. But the SWAC plays a beautiful brand of baseball. I'm going to say it. Alex Weiss broke the internet early in the week with his comment. And it has some truth to it. I don't 100% agree with his comment, but it has some truth to it. And, 10 miles away at the Hoover Met, same size stadium, packed. You're in Rickwood, both stadiums, 10,800 people. And you could count the number of people that were there. Now, we do know people, we know how we are. We're gonna get up out the sun. That's no problem. But I would be lying to you to say I was disappointed in the turnout on Sunday. I know we had 2 Florida teams in the championship, but it's our World Series. You need to be there no matter who is playing when it comes down to the championship. Yes, we all have our allegiances, and Bethune won. It's tough for me, not only losing to Bethune as a FAMU grad, but knowing Bethune is playing across the railroad tracks. But irregardless, I'm all SWAC when it's all said and done, Brian. Yeah, I got my Rattler card. You may change the colors of it, but I'm 100% with the SWAC. Greatest game I have witnessed in SWAC baseball personally. I saw the Jackson State Southern game. I did not witness that one personally, but personally, the greatest game that I have witnessed. I don't care if my team came out on the wrong end. I'm glad I was there for it.
Good points. Good points. Charles, names in terms of who lived up to it, who stood out to you.
Juan Cruz for Alabama State. You could not get him out whatsoever. He was
pick a Cruz mini team. They was all hit the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Juan Cruz jumps out because he was one of the leaders in national batting average, and I mean he further burnished their reputation in the SWAC tournament. When I started thinking about the hitters for Grambling, Cameron Hill, Trey Bridges. I mean, Trey Bridges hit a tape measure home run for Grambling. That I
you're looking for that ball.
Yeah, I know it because one of the groundskeepers was telling me that the ball hit the back fence, and we're talking about that 438, 472, all back there. That ball was still hit back there. So
somewhere back here.
Yeah, so it's and those guys jump out to me. And I'm losing his name right now, but there was a pitching performance, a young man from Alabama State that kept them. Really moored in the game. I think when they played Florida A&M, if I'm not mistaken, but he got a standing ovation coming off the mound. So those are moments that stuck out to me with regards to that. Obviously, I watched Niles over the past 2 years, and we just talked about his shortstop play for Florida A&M, and to see him go down injured and to come back. Within that venue, tremendously emotional experience, but I had an opportunity to talk to his dad and really got to kind of know them a little bit, but it was great to see him come back, and be a part of that final day. So those are some of the things that stand out for me. 80, Drew, to your point, in terms of wanting to see more of a crowd, that is a whole different show that we can do. Because I have my own theories about that, but the baseball, the black consumer, I think that generation from especially 84 to 94, we might have lost the black fan or the African-American fan during that time. And when you think about it, you think about the growth of the NBA, you think about how huge March Madness became, especially during that time. You talk about hip-hop marrying basketball, football. Baseball was behind the times during that time, and from the African-American consumer, they never caught up.
Yeah, to your point, and you point that out. You in a historic ballpark that included Negro League games with the Birmingham Black Barons. Obviously, I know the Birmingham Barons played there as well. But talk about that, which is uniqueness that we see with the SWAC baseball now. It's extremely diverse in terms of what it looks like. And to your point, one of the things you see that when you look at the All-Star game, we'll name a lot of those players, but 3 of them were African-American. And so that is a magic moment as well to see that their kids still playing the game at the Division I level that have decided to play in the SWAC. So that's a big thing. But shout out to all the players that made it to mention in terms of the status of all SWAC in terms of the tournament. We talked about last week as it was announced during the show, and we were able to release it about halfway through the show last Tuesday. But all tournament, and these are some of the names that you talked about: Juan Cruz, Alabama State; Cameron Douglas, Alabama State; Cameron Hill, Grambling State; Trey Bridges, Grambling State; William Brown, Florida A&M; Colton Riles, Florida A&M; Cody Williams, Florida A&M; Justice Cruz, Florida A&M; Jeter Padilla, I always pronounce it wrong.
Polito.
Corrected because I got corrected on Sunday. Bethune-Cookman, Sergio Rivera, Bethune-Cookman, Edwin Sanchez, Bethune-Cookman, and Daniel Figueroa, Bethune-Cookman, who was also the MVP. So wanted to make sure we get those names out and acknowledge all the players. But I thought your point in terms of the African-American fan, what does that look like in terms of them obviously in love with the professional sports in terms of this time. The NBA is big. It's going down the stretch. So you got a lot of those folks can tune into that fandom. That fandom is free in terms of just the television, so it'll be interesting. But wanted to acknowledge these all SWAC tournament team players. Thank you for putting that out there, Drew. Let's take our last break and come back on the other side. Since we kind of got into this, we'll close it out on talking some business. We adhered to this last week when we pointed out the Power Conference working on a contract to bind schools to new enforcement rules with strict punishments. We'll touch on that just a little bit, but there's some other ones that have come out since then that I'm sure that you want to keep your eyes on. Magic Date, in a lot of ways, is July 1st. That's when the NCAA has the different rules. They're going to vote pretty soon. Obviously, we're waiting on the NCAA House settlement, which we assume is going to come, because if it does come, that July 1st is the date. Conference churning. If there are any teams that are going to switch conferences, which may include HBCUs, whether it's Division II, Division I. A lot of talk earlier that's died down, but July 1st is that key date. It's going to happen in terms of the next iteration, whether the following year or will it be further down the line. So we'll share a little bit of updates on the news side of that, get these gentlemen thoughts, but we'll be right back after this last break.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you, guys, for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m.
Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock
in downtown Atlanta.
For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992
or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com.
For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant,
authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them I'm hungry.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball.
So listen to Professor, yes sir, and
sir.
pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As I went off, I told you and remind you of the article that we gave you some discussion on last week by Ross Dillinger with Yahoo Sports that is putting a lot of information out. He's been kind of the go-to guy that has been able to get the stories told, at least from the perspective of those that want to tell it to him, getting their information out. And last week was Power Conference working on a contract to bind schools to new enforcement rules with strict punishments. Before that, we talked about the dialogue in regards to maybe the president getting involved. Well, that's quiet down, where it looks like they've told him to go away. We got this. Let us handle it before you get involved, including Alabama's former football coach telling him to sit down and settle down a little bit too. You had your reign. We're moving on. We appreciate you. Just another one by Ross Dillinger. With college sports in limbo, a key issue coming to a head is the spotlight is on the SEC. Quote, it's going to get heated. They are pushing a lot of angles, and they have a lot of money on the table. They want to see the automatic bids. Big Ten is quietly. I think they're aligned with them, but they're already playing 9 games. They say the question for a lot of people getting out there for the SEC is they want to see the automatic bids to the playoffs, among some other things. Particularly, they want 4. And so there's a model that is surfaced out there, 4, which is 4 for the SEC, 4 for the Big Ten. In terms of CFP, I'm referring to 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC. And then you have the rest, 1, if you would, in regards to at-large independent bids that you can get. I think there's 1 that's for the G5, and then it opens up. So you have that on the table. But one of the reasons they said they want 4, as you notice, is that they want to remake what they do with championship game because they believe there's some more dollars out there. They want to look at a model that would have additional games beside their championship, maybe that same day, maybe the day before, where they have, a model that sees 3 versus 6 or 4 versus 5. You had a championship game. Whoever wins those other 2 would get one of those automatic bids. The 2 teams in the championship would get the automatic bid, and then they would figure out from that would be essentially their 4 slots. They believe they can get some more money with that. There's also put it out there that if they can get this, they'll go to 9 games, which means they'll be able to play an automatic game, if you would, or a lot of them against Big Ten teams that they can match up and they can go to the networks and get a pot of more money. But what I'm more interested in is in this line here that affects more of the other Division I schools, particularly HBCU, 2 conferences, MEAC and SWAC. The NCAA is remaking the governance model in preparation for July 1st. Remember I told you, key date, right? When a new revenue sharing model between schools and student athletes takes effect as a result of the House versus NCAA settlement. It is still quietly out there. People believe it will pass. I know the due dates has passed a couple of weeks, but they think it's still going to take place. The proposed model would grant the power conferences as much as 65%, as much as weighted voting power in rules-making committees for decisions on the transfer portal. We have a deadline coming up in June where they're supposed to get together and make these rules. And all that power essentially is what I call the Super 2 and the Power 2 collectively. But many people talk about the Power 4 or the Autonomous 5, even though Pac-12 is literally trying to survive. And they're in a court settlement hearing with the Mountain West, but that's a whole different discussion. Dillinger followed up with the report that Sankey said the SEC would like to see their numbers come up to 68%. And in that same article, they talked about the SEC had folks they pushed out there that it's like, why are we a member of the NCAA? I've told anybody and everybody to listen to me, I don't believe that. That's just negotiating for it. They ain't going nowhere because the math doesn't math. They get all the benefits of all 300 some schools paying the expenses, right? In court, in this settlement too. And part of the agreement is saying that these folks can't even leave the NCAA. If not, they got to pay penalty money. So they ain't going nowhere because one thing we know they love is their money. But with that being said, it's a way to threat, and they think they can push to see if they can get up to 68%. But even at 65%, the currently proposed 65%, all four power conferences would need to vote the same way to pass an issue. They can sneak it up, then maybe they can get away with not having that, because there's a fight between what I told you, the Super 2, SEC, Big 10, and the Power 2, ACC and Big 12, in terms of, again, argument for the CFP and maybe even some little more control of the NCAA basketball money. So, Charles, I know you wanted to hear a little more about this. How would it affect HBCU? So I wanted to get into that. I think it shrinks HBCU's ability in terms of get the pots of that money, like you see the other Division I programs out there, and there's some talk on that, particular, which is intriguing for me, that I think is a painful spot, I must admit, that I wanted to make sure we acknowledge what that looks like. But last thing here, at least from this report on 3 that takes some of the work that, according to diligent SEC presidents, voted in March to give Sankey the authority to split from the NCAA if he sees fit. The SEC spring meetings go underway this week in Destin, where it has been one of many topics of discussion. But quickly, Red Sankey came back and said he doesn't have authority to do that. So who knows what kind of games these guys are playing. But there's one statement I want to put out there from Michael Cross, Southern Conference Commissioner, has come out, and this is a document that I got my whole hands onto, which is a presentation where he was going back at the Power 5, and there's some key things that he talked about, representation of imbalances. He did say there were some good things that NCAA is doing in terms of coalescing some of the rules that he likes to see, but there was some concern. And these things really hit home with me, is what I've always said. Representation imbalances, non-autonomy conferences, those are the FCS programs and non-football conferences, if you would. Conferences lack parallel authority structures granting to autonomy conferences. 6 non-autonomous FBS conferences receive legacy status that overrepresents their voices relative to the CCA 22 conferences in autonomy 4 dominated conferences. Student athlete voices is limited primarily to revenue sports and no independent directors on the board in terms of what that looks like. Another thing he talked about in this separate document was the legal vulnerabilities. Maintaining division-wide eligibility standards and financial aid regulation exposes the NCAA to continued antitrust challenges. A lot of folks are always pointing the finger at the NCAA, but the NCAA is not the problem. It's the presidents and the chancellors of these Super 2, mainly, to some degree, the Autonomous 5 or the Power 4, as it used to be called, presidents and chancellors. Stop looking at the NCAA. Stop looking at the ADs. They have limited power at best. They just highly paid folks that manage stuff. They do come across with some good ideas here and there, but we always overlook the real bullies on the block. He continues to say the rules have proven costly to defend and should be delegated to conference or institutions to avoid ongoing litigation risks. The current structure appears to socialize legal costs, meaning, as I said, everybody wants to share the cost, but all members while concentrating decision-making authority on the Power 2. So again, how does it affect HBCUs? You can even see less ability to negotiate with power in terms of what it looks like. The good news, for some degree, is fans, at least in football, to some degree basketball, are concentrated. And so they do have a nice fandom that helps them market to corporate sponsors. But that's where we are there. Charles, I'll let you jump in, see if you have any thoughts or if you have further questions that you want to ask. I know there's a lot done.
Yeah, it's a lot to
class. I said y'all want to be the doctoral program. I got to put y'all there. This is what we do in our classes for those folks at the master's level or at the doctoral level for the concentration in sports leadership.
Out of curiosity, would it be advantageous if there was a private equity firm that would look at purchasing HBCU sports, HBCU athletics? I think that's where college athletics is quickly moving to, especially as you called it, the Autonomous 2. They assert their authority even more. But do you think that we could move into a situation to where it would be advantageous for some private equity firm to look at purchasing, a piece of HBCU athletics?
I think you always got to look at it. I think Big 12 commissioner is pushing really hard for that. But I think there's some challenges when you get into private equity and the amount of control private equity does. For those that, for example, I know you do this because we fly together, all that, Southwestern Airlines. You've heard about them changing their bag policy, right? Adding seats and adding the fact that now that you have to pick some seats, they'll have some open seats, but they'll also have the ability to have seating. Now, some people may like that, but the decision that was made was not necessarily by the board. It was made by a private equity that invested in Southwest to give them more cash to do some other things that they wanted to do. And it shows you an example just how much power private equity has once they get involved. So, yes, it gives you an influx of cash. So you better know what you're going to do with it. You make sure you can invest and really look at it as investment, because you better believe that that's exactly what they look at it. And they're going to want a lot of control to navigate what that space looks like. And so it kind of depends. One of the things you see, the Super 2, in my opinion, what they're looking for, a lot of people say power and money, but really what they want is control, because that's how they get down. In a lot of ways, that's what this country is about how do you negotiate and have more control. So it's a yes or no answer. I think there are certainly some benefits of private equity, but I think there are a lot of concerns that people need to be really considerate of before you jump over that broom. We'll probably see shortly in terms of what it looks like for the Big 12, for that matter. 80 Drew, what are your thoughts or questions that you want to put on the table in terms of a lot of business information? I know you really get excited about data analytics and numbers and the business side of this. So I wanted you two are the perfect individuals to be able to have this dialogue with.
Ooh, like Charles said, there's a lot to unpack here. And with I'll start with the private equity portion of it. A private equity coming in not only at our level, but at the Big 12, Big 10 level. What does that do? We private equity is going to be looking at two things: football and basketball. So what does that do for the other 12, 14, 16, 20 sports on these campuses?
Good question.
Do you separate those out to the private equity firm? And then, okay, let's say the private equity football, men's basketball, as an institution, do I reinvest what I would have budgeted for those two particular sports into the remaining sports, or do I put that in my pocket? That's one of those things that you have to be careful of when you're talking about private equity. It's the same thing when you get right now when we get corporate dollars for something. Do those corporate dollars go to that program, and do we pull our money out that we put into the budget? If we get a $300,000 sponsorship, does the institution pull that $300,000 back and invest it somewhere else? A lot of them do, y'all. Just so y'all know that. So everything's not what it looks up to be. But Dr. Cavil, Charles, this is what we're talking about with college athletics in general, with all this stuff. Isn't this just a microcosm of what's going on in life and politics right now?
Yeah.
Where you've got a few people who want to be in control, who want to have all the money, and you've got everybody else down here fighting to get a seat at the table. And when you're talking about the autonomous two want to have 65, 68%, have they? And there's a reason why. Look at the math, y'all. There are more schools outside the autonomous two than inside the autonomous two. That's why they're fighting for that control and trying to get that voting power. So it's almost like, do you go with the Senate model where every state has 2 votes, or do you go with the House of Representatives model where it's about volume? California, we know they win it. You guys down in Texas, you guys control the election. Florida controls the election. Which model do you go with? That the same fight that our founding fathers were having when they drafted the Constitution, they're going to be having in Indianapolis or wherever these meetings are this month, figuring out how to divvy up these votes.
Great comparison when you look at it like that, and great points. So we'll keep you on top of this as the news breaks, articles come out. We'll continue to give you that information. We'll obviously look at it from an HBCU lens, but we'll take it from an overall lens as well. But remember, I should say, tomorrow, before the ONG strike zone, as I'm sure they'll take a deep dive on Florida A&M sports tomorrow. They'll talk a little bit about baseball, but I'm sure they'll have other stuff there too. Hopefully we can make sure AD Drew gets his card back. We'll be fighting for you, Drew. We'll do what we need to do. We feel like Brian is, a little disingenuous. We're going to say that he's following the model, it seems, at times of the Supreme Court, which is just a little off. We got to get him back on course, leaning too much to the right, left. We need to get him center or something. With that being said, thank you, Drew. Thank you, Charles. I also want to talk about the fact that before that, 6 o'clock, we have the Indy report with Dave and his group. We'll be on at the show at 6 o'clock, top of the hour, but 6:15 we'll bring in Coach Hernandez. The champ is here, as they will say, the SWAC regular season and tournament champion for the Southwestern Athletic Conference, better known as the SWAC. I also want to give AD Drew another shout out, as well as Charles, as they went down the rabbit hole. I told you last week that this regular season champion is the first time we knew since the expansion of the Big Ten in '98. Dug a little deeper than that. The SWAC has had divisions going back to the 40s with the original 5 and 6. When you talk about Bishop, Prairie View, Texas College, that was a North and South division with 4 teams in a division. So the last time we could find out, we're still digging a little deeper. The last time we could figure out was 76 season when Southern did the double-double, winning the regular season with all teams in one conference format, and then in the tournament. A couple of years before that, Jackson State in 73 did the double-double. That was before Kadar. But Brady was there at Jackson State, legendary coach. When we talk about Hall of Famers, they were both there in the Southwestern Athletic Tournament, so shout out to them. Got a chance to talk to both legendary coaches. Continue to thank them for coming out, celebrating baseball for all the work they did. But Jackson State did it in 1973 when they did the double-double, winning the regular season and then the tournament, as you had a slew of the East-West division at that time, which is Southern and Jackson State dominated. Had a little bit of ground, and it wasn't until finally Texas Southern broke down the door when you started seeing a lot of teams coming out of there, including Prairie View, Alcorn getting in the mix, Alabama State in terms of finding out how to get it done with those legendary programs. Just wanted to kind of shout out a little bit of history as we close the window. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Edwin says in 76 he was in 4th grade, laugh out loud. Yeah, we're going to give you a little bit. The business side, the historic side, current side, that's what we do here when you have some gentlemen like Charles, AD Drew, Brian, Mike, Roy in the background as he continues to push the buttons and produce and makes this possible for us on the Black College Sport Network. Shout out to Morel, a couple of other ones, Mo, in terms of those gentlemen. Got an update, obviously, today. You'll see Wilton Jackson II. He's been taking a lot of work. He'll be back in the fold. Brandon, as he represents Tennessee State and does some work with the Independents as well. Just want to give those gentlemen a shout out as they put in a lot of labor of love to make sure you get your HBCU sports from a different perspective, as we like to talk about the culture, obviously the business, as well as the historic side. Go ahead, AD Drew.
Quickly, want to remind everybody this weekend, Minority Prospects, HBCU All-Star game, the softball game will be Friday, and the baseball game will be Saturday evening. I believe those will be right here on the Black College Sports Network. Nice. But if not on the Black College Sports Network, they will be on MPTV on YouTube. MPTV.
Minority Prospects.
Yeah, I believe both those games are scheduled to first pitch at 7:30 Eastern on Friday and Saturday night. Join yours truly on play-by-play for both of those events there from Kannapolis, North Carolina, 7:30 Eastern time.
Good stuff. I remember when I was here in Houston, great attendance, a lot of entertainment getting involved with that. Want to say thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watts and Charles Bishop. Tomorrow, bright and early, you'll find out who wins the All Sports Award. I've got my glimpse on it, but I was asked to keep it quiet in terms of the release, as Andrew has said. So we'll hold that there. But not a lot of surprises. You'll see them teams at the top. So we'll congratulate those teams later in the week. But want to shout out again to Bethune-Cookman University Wildcats getting it done as they close out the academic year in terms of sports teams for the Southwestern Athletic Conference and HBCUs beyond for those that will be participating in the track and field Division I. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, A.D. Drew. We hope you enjoyed. Again, we want to thank you for listening, Dr. Mills, inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. Shout out to Dr. Carey getting it done in a lot of ways. Appreciate his loyal support. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Thursday, 6 o'clock. Check us up. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. When I say next week, that is tomorrow and Thursday. As we like to say, follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram, DrKenyatta Cavil. Again, that's DrKenyatta Cavil, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Top of light, everybody. See you in Kannapolis.